Okay, I have done this before, but I'm doing it more. A couple things. I have tons of this limey green cardstock. I don't like it for a couple of reasons. Well, the color is one. The other thing is, when I make things, it's not really high quality. See how just a little tiny bend, and see the crinkles in the, it just doesn't, it's not firm enough. And I don't know where I got it from, and it's just a lightweight cardstock in a pretty awful color. So what I have been doing is painting it, and very easily painting it, very easily and very quickly. Turned it into rather quality cardstock. The nice thing is I can have a pattern on both sides. Okay, now the only one that that I have to redo again, because I had my cutting settings on my Cameo messed up somehow. And I love this pink and green, so I'm going to have to do this again. So I've kept parts of it that I can make embellishments with or whatever. But note that it's really quite delicious looking, frankly. So I'm going to cut this one up so I won't have it in a minute or two. When I cut it, it'll have the stripes. But what's interesting is I've been making the pillow boxes again with my name for my jewelry that I make. And what's nice is, since the back is the same paint, and I just flip it right over, and sometimes I just do a different white design, so you can see through the window. It makes it a lot more interesting. The other thing is, you know, I'll put an earring card with the same, and it's got the paint on the back. And the earring card can slip inside this container, and it just always looks good. I will tell you that of the squares that I cut out, those squares that cut out, I punch those into earring cards as well. I have them, when the machine cuts, I have my logo already on there. And so when this pops out, as mostly would be waste, I have just created another earring card. This one didn't pop out. It's a little larger, but I managed to get the layout. So I have two, let me show real quickly. I love my fish too. Look at how pretty they are. In the blues, and particularly in the blues. So let me show you real quickly what the layout looks like on my computer. I'm working on another, I have to cancel that. I'm working on another, yes. So here's my layout of the sketch and cut. So obviously I have Cameo 4 on my machine, and 4 something, I can't remember what. But anyway, I cut by line color. So when I do the blue, you can see there's a blue and a green. When I do the blue, I have a pen stuck in the holder. And obviously when I cut the dark green and the red, I have the actual blade in the cutting machine. So, but see, I really maximize pretty much. See that big card at the bottom? That's the one I just showed you. Earring card. Let's see. That looks like this. And it's painted on both sides, which is cool. So I will tell you, if I had a better camera layout and could do better tutorials, I know it would be nicer. But I'm not in this for any kind of remuneration, money. So I like to pass on the tips, and unfortunately, my editing skills and so forth. Setting camera could drive you crazy because I move this camera along. But mostly it's the idea. A couple of ideas here. I added notches to both sides, because it's a lot easier the first one that goes in wasn't notched, and then the second one would be notched. But I found that if there's a little notch in both of these. Now, I used a hole punch before I actually edited the file so that it cuts that way. So you can do that. But I found that first one that tucks in is a little harder to get open without a finger notch. And wanting to use up most of my pretty painted paper, I put these adorable fish in there. And I love using those as embellishments. Let's see. Yeah, they're really pretty. And they're painted on both sides, of course. So all I have to add is some adhesive and stick them on. It looks particularly nice on white. I can use those. So I'll be putting another one of my papers in, and I'll probably cut this side up, and it'll have this design on the back. Now, how I do these papers, I wish I had an overhead camera set up so I could actually show you, because it's just so easy. It looks very, very hard to do, but it is just so easy to do. You just put this nasty old green cardstock. Let's see if I've got a sheet of it. Well, actually, most of it's in the other room. Here's a sheet. Yeah, you get from this. I know the color doesn't look as objectionable on the camera, but this is what you get. Or this. Actually, this pink came from this same green cardstock, believe it or not. And the green is painted on top. So, and one thing I will add, it makes a quality, it improves the quality of the cardstock. This coating of paint on both sides it makes it a sturdier product. Instead of getting those nasty little wrinkles that I got in the original cardstock, the paint actually adds a nice finish. It's like a smooth satiny finish, which also is nice. So it solved a couple of problems. It really made, and I'm going to do it with all of it. It's amazing what the color combinations I can get just from plunking down on this green cardstock. So it really doesn't matter what kind of cardstock you start with. Okay, so how I get this really easily and quickly is you have a bunch of paint, any kind of craft paint will do, sitting there, and then you have a big piece of plain old cardboard. Even though you cannot see these lovely ridges in the cardboard, once you scrape the paint, I apply a little bit of paint to a gift card, key card, whatever you want to call these things. Here's one here. I've got plenty of them. I save them. And you just apply a little bit of paint from the tube right on there. You have this sitting on top of a cardboard, and you just scrape the paint any which way all over the place. The two things that are nice is that it's such a thin coat of paint when you do it this way that it dries very quickly. So by the time I finish one side, I can just turn this right over and add some more paint and do it the other side. If I want to get the crisscross checkered look, I just move the paper from this way, which gets the verticals on that cardboard, to this way, which then gets the cross checkered look. I also have a texture sheet, a little foam texture sheet. It's just probably about a 4x6 piece, and I put it underneath, on top of on the cardboard, but underneath the paper, and I continue to swipe other colors of paint. In this case, I used a darker blue, or white, or whatever. And then you get that mottled. I love the way that, whoops, where did it go? Yeah, I love the way the pattern gets in there for the dots. And so you just keep on doing this. This side just has mostly the ribs from the cardboard. This side has the ribs going in a couple of different directions, and also added so it doesn't take very long. The other thing is you just find some place to clip it and hang it. And frankly, I use my metal shelves, and I have some clothespins attached. I won't show you that right now, but any kind of binder clips or clothespins. So you take your wet paper and you just hang it somewhere to dry. And it takes very little time, because when you're doing it this way, you use very little paint. But I just wanted to share that with everybody, because they may have some cardstock that they don't like because it's not quality cardstock, or you don't like the color, or anything. You can use pretty much anything. And you get these beautiful, I think they're beautiful. And they make some great cards, earring cards, or elements, beautiful elements, or especially if you've got a window, what's really nice is since they're painted on both sides, you get the benefit. So yes, so and on my file for the Cameo, I use a pen to get all of the writing done, which is the logo and my handcrafted by whatever. And then I have it set up so that I can punch the holes in the pieces that gets removed. See this piece? Whoops. I guess it must have been from, I don't know which one it was from, but I get it. I actually go in there and put the logo in there and the cut for the two little holes so that it just pops out, and I've done several things at one time. So I wish my pink paper hadn't gotten ruined, because I love it. I'm just going to have to make another one, though. I think this is a pretty color. And I'll save this unused bit. See, I had done the printing okay. I mean, the sketching with the pen, pretty much. But somehow my instructions were off. And when it started cutting it, it just made a mess. But you can see the nice sheen on the paper. It's a satiny finish, and it's on the cardstock, so it's really kind of nice. So if this is any help to anyone, I'm sorry I don't do a very professional job of editing, and I know I've had some comments where people can't stand how I'm jiggling the phone around, but in my desire to create a video for myself, so that months later, if I want to remember what I did and how I did it, I've got my own verbal and video notes, and I put it out there public so that, see, this is when it started cutting, so this is about the only thing I was able to salvage from that pink paper. So that's the reason I do it. So it's not very professional, and I know it's not a great how-to video. Like I said, it's very hard for me to do the paint, show you the paint thing, although I've tried a couple of times, because I don't have a proper setup for my camera. So if I did, I would show you how really easy that is. But give it a go. Try it if you like, and turn useless, very uninteresting cardstock into something a lot prettier, I think. And this is just easy. I've also tried using embossing folders underneath almost anything around your house that has any kind of texture. If you can just put it underneath and swipe it with a gift card with a tiny bit of paint, you'll be surprised at how clever it all looks. It looks a whole lot more complicated than it is. And you just keep on doing it. And sometimes, by the way, when the paint is wet, you might think, oh God, what a mess I've made. What a bunch of mud. But it really is, when it dries, it becomes quite beautiful. So have a go. Enjoy this. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask away. And I apologize that my editing video crap skills. But if you get the idea and it's any use to you, then I'm happy. But like I said, most of this I do for myself. So have a great day. Having fun.